What is up? Derek, 13 Series Engineering, coming to you here with part 2 of our auth login authentication videos for our dry dock server-side single-page application with Symfony and Turbo. Last time, so I recognized that probably some of the audio and some of the stuff got missed last time as I was looking through the playback because I think my computer was just getting cooked to a well-done steak with Docker. And the Docker resources being way too high. So we're just going to recap, in case anyone had trouble with that. We created the login and registration forms. Well, we converted them using Form Builder to Symfony Forms. Basically, that's it. We just switched to using Form Builder from the markup that was written, and we have these forms in our controller. We talked a little bit about the functionality of form submit, form posts, and how that works with turbo navigation using turbo frames. So next here, I guess we can just start our login stuff. And there's quite a few components we're going to need to do. As much as I don't want to do this after what just happened, the first thing we're going to have to do is basically create our entity and start Docker. Well, we can probably wait for that because we can create the entity, but we don't have to run the migration. So I'm literally just going to go through what the Symfony docs say about how to do auth, because it's basically just it's pretty simple. So this security bundle already comes, installed with Composer. Symfony Flex, if you just install Symfony 6.3 web app, it already has all this stuff. This is the default configuration. Okay, so first thing we're going to do is, I was going to run Webpack. We don't have to, though. We don't need it right now. Alright, sorry, just making sure I'm actually getting the right screen here, which maybe I am, maybe I'm not. Laptop heat problems, man, they're a killer. It's those MacBook, there's MacBook Slim, even though it's a MacBook Pro, it's slim, it's metal, they just get really hot, and I have it sitting up on a thing, so it's getting airflow, and it's just having issues, but that's okay. Alright, we're going to do Symfony console make user. Okay, so, and this is not an entity, because you would use make entity, right? So make user is literally making a user. And now we're going to say, well, what are we going to call it? We're going to call it a captain, right? Because that's the account you're going to make. You're going to be a captain, Let me just move this a little. I'm looking kind of weird at it. There we go. How's that? A little better? Okay. Make captain. Yes, we do want to do that. Property name, that will be the unique display name. I'm going to go with email, because that's got to be unique. We can have non-unique captain names. That's fine. People are going to have the same name, but email will be the unique identifier. So there we go, there's email. Does this app need to? Yes, it does. Cool. There we go. Alright, all we need to do is run Symfony console make migration. Oh! Migration. Right, it's not going to make that unless I have my database running, which is going to require Docker. Okay, we can worry about migrations and stuff later as long as we have the class, which we do here in entity. We'll just go and add these to GitHub. Add. Now hopefully my recording is going to be a little bit better this time and not like jump around. But if we look at Captain, we have all the stuff we need here for login. ID, email, user identifiers, email, roles. The only thing we don't have is we need to add like name. We're going to get rid of that. Set it to 255. Yeah, that's fine. And then we just need to do private string faults. Name or captain name, sure. And we'll just do get and set. Cool. Public function set captain name. Why did that happen? Captain name equals. Yes, I know you don't like it. Don't worry, we'll fix you in a minute. And there we go. Cool. Spelling helps. Okay. Should be everything we need. Roles, we need to make sure user role is always there. It is. Okay. That's good. Alright, so we created our user class. That's the first thing. And if we look in security here, it added right here, our user provider, captain with the email as the identifier. So it did all that for us in security. Awesome. Now, if we look at the next part, we got the user set, blah, blah, blah. Yes, all this stuff. User passwords. I guess that's what we should do next, is actually making the user, and then you can do login. Login's so easy. But first, yeah, let's configure the firewall before. Okay, so this is our like main thing here. We're gonna want to set these login and logout paths, and this access control right here. I'm just gonna go ahead and get rid of this. So user role is the default one. We're just gonna keep it like that. You know, we could have the role captain, I guess. If you don't have that role, you can't look at any of this stuff, but like, it's a user. I don't know. I don't see a reason to change that. We can change this to captain, and then just for fun, just to prove that it works, we'll just set a default role that guarantees everyone has captain, and we'll just make sure to set, to set captain as a role when it's inserted, when we create it. Okay, so, and this is going to be, now here's the thing, access control, this is the route prefix, so you could have anything else after this you want, and it will restrict it because it's just going off if that main route prefix is there. But, all right, let's implement this, and let's just do a demo. And let me fix, let me fix this. All right, so here, what we just did was full authentication is required. So, okay, we can't access the main view. We have all those other ones, right? Like shipyard, create part, build a ship. I know how to spell. And look at that. Okay, we can access all, and this is just a turbo frame, right? So yeah, it's missing everything, but we can still access these. That's no good. So we need to lock those down. So one thing we could do is we could just add main, shipyard, blah, 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 all those other routes to make sure they're inaccessible. Or the right thing to do in this view controller, and you want to set up like the same thing for API routes as well for access control. Like everything for API is going to be prefixed with that, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there. So, and that's why you do these things. So main, we're just going to add main to all of these routes, which will make them totally inaccessible unless you're authenticated. Cool, 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 cool. Okay, so everything starts with main except splash. Can't access it. Can't access it. And we're going to go through this little error and how to fix it in just a minute. And shipyard doesn't even exist. Cool. All right, awesome. So we locked down the app. You have to log in now. There's no other choice. It's locked by the server. We're set. One last thing we need to do in security. That's good. Oh, right. Form login and CSRF protection. Okay. We need to add these under main so we actually have a way to log in. And this is basically going to say like what function we're going to use upon login. And Symfony's going to do the rest for us. Let's see. I'm going to look up logout real quick too. Just do it at the same time. Blah, blah, blah. Logout subscriber. I think we need like a logout route though. Logout path. Logging out to enable logout. Activate the logout config parameter under your firewall. Too easy. We're going to need I don't think that's nested correctly. It should be like that. Logout path. It's just going to be logout. And our app's broken right now. If we refresh it, we'll get an error because we basically need to enable this stuff. Cool. Yes, yes, yes. Unauthenticate the current user and redirect them. So we need a redirect to Splash. That's what's going to happen. All right. So we got like, oh, CSRF protection. How could I forget? That is an added layer of added layer of security. There we go. That adds a CSRF token to the form, and we're going to need this for both registration and login. Blah, blah, blah. Twig template, CSRF token. And it has to be given the value authenticate. And this we are actually going to add manually. This basically is what helps prevent, what level did they add that? In form login, right. YAML files can definitely be problematic sometimes if you don't have the right indents and spaces. Problems come up. We might have already gotten ourselves into trouble. We'll see when it comes time to actually load stuff. But in my controllers, this should have nothing in it. Good. Okay, I think everything here's looking pretty dandy. Blah, blah, blah. Yep. So this provider for your main firewall, it just goes through and checks you that you have an authenticated captain. Now, if you change this to user, you could be logged in and authenticated, still can't access anything because it's not checking that you are the right type of user that's logged in. If you're logged in under captain. Cool. Alright, so controller, we're going to make a new one. Security controller. Extends, I think it's default controller, right? Or abstract controller? Abstract controller, that's what it is. Blah, blah, blah. Let's copy paste the logout one. Logout. Cool. And go back up to CSRF. Where are you? There we go. We can just copy that, and that's all we should need to do. Not for those. We can close our form things, but for this. We're going to put that right there. CSRF token. Probably going to need to change that to like login type or something. And we're also going to need to add CSRF to registration, but we'll deal with that in a minute. Once we get it all to work. Then we can worry about security and everything. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, okay, we should be good. Form login. And we get this one. And now here's where we're going to start getting into actually using Turbo and doing single page app stuff. Cool. Log out. Redirect to route, splash. Why are you so unhappy about this? Oh, because I used the wrong abstract controller. No, that's right. Yeah, okay, cool. There we go. Alright, so this login route is going to now get hit. You see we defined it in security, login and log out. That when you do login, when you do that form submit, which again we're doing that programmatically, we'll worry about the animation later. Login form target. Okay, we need to declare our login form. So how do we do that? Well, with Symfony Forms, you can basically just go and add a form attribute. It's going to be when we create it. There we go. Okay. Register, or alright. So we just need to go data. I can't do this off the top of my head. I need data targets. Oh, I know I have one on here. Data splash target. There we go. Data splash target. Oh. Login form. Okay. Now if we reload this. Oh. Doesn't like that as an attribute. Okay, there's probably some other, just a form attribute. Maybe that's it. Form attribute, and that's probably going to take an array. Or maybe it's actually data. Or maybe it's just attribute. I don't know. Let's try it. I've never actually done one of these loading animations like this, just spinners, but not like a full page one. Seem to like that better. A little bit more involved. But now, there we go, data splash target login form, and no JavaScript errors. Cool. Webpack's not running. That's an issue. Sweet. Now let's see if that login actually works. It should go to our security controller, hit this, it's going to say that's not found, blah blah blah, which no it isn't found. And essentially, here's what needs to happen in this login function. Should probably add caching to these as well. That's something that's important. Well, can keep caching off it for now. I'm not using a CDN, so technically I can cache anything I want to, but that's fine. So when we do this login, a bunch of stuff's going to happen, and we're either going to re-render the form, or we're going to with the errors, and that's going to happen inside a turbo frame, or we are going to do a turbo drive navigation and get to our main view. Username must. It's funny required isn't working on this. Like a lot of things aren't. Required. Why would that not be working? I don't know. I'm gonna have to investigate that. About autocomplete and required don't seem to be working. No idea. Whatever. Just got some stuff in there. Username must be a string null given. Not happy with that. Because probably the name for this is wrong. Because it's underscore email. Let's look at that. Yeah, we need this to be username. That's fine. And of course we changed it. Blah blah blah, it doesn't matter, there's no user created anyways. Wow. Not happy. That's okay. Let's just finish this up. We have to finish writing our login function, and then we can worry about why that's so unhappy. Auto wiring, import that class, and here we go. Get rid of all these. Cool. Okay. I know if we had this as, I might need to change the name. I don't think you have to do that though. Never heard of that. So I built, let's change the label because that's kind of misleading. There we go. Capitalize it. Username must be a string. I'll give it. I wonder if I just go. Oh. Very peculiar. I think you might actually have to write a custom. I've written a custom authenticator before. Maybe we have to do that. There we go. Okay, cool. So that's the issue. Name has to be username, but I bet in, let's see, Symfony Form Builder. Alright. Well, we'll just change it, I guess. Login path, blah, blah, blah. Alright, we can just configure it. I didn't know that. I've written like separate classes before to override it. But that's cool. That just goes, I'm gonna guess just goes under login path and all that stuff. So we'll just go like that. And username parameter and password parameter. And we can cut out everything else that we have in our stupid form builder here. Keep it simple. Get rid of all this. And I'm going to figure out why autocomplete isn't working at some point when I get around to it. Maybe that's an attribute. No, I don't think it is. Anyways, okay. So that's I wonder if it's even gonna like this. It's like, no, I think it's like login, username, and login, password. Let's see if that's right. I think as long as the name's right, we're gonna be good. Login. Username. I actually want to change this back to email so it's less annoying. Cool. Right. Gotta fix that too. It's just confusing because we have captain names, so I don't want it to be called username, that's all. I should get a database issue. Perfect. Alright, so it's finding everything correctly. Finally. Wow, that was just freaking pulling teeth, wasn't it? Wow. I think we got everything we need. Cool. Alright, I think we basically have everything good. We can go and like migrate our database, be ready to make a user, and that's where we're going to start like all our turbo stuff. I know this video is getting long. It's going to be like over an hour, but that's alright. It's kind of a code along, so that's okay. So sure, let's start. Let's get Docker running and just watch everything completely tank, because that's what's going to happen. My security controller, I'm going to add a route for register. We're not so worried about logging yet. We got some stuff we're going to do here. to get this all fixed up, we're going to basically identify it's a turbo request or not, and if it is, then if it's a turbo request, then we'll do a turbo frame load. If it's not, then we're going to navigate to the and the user's authenticated, or it's like a bad, trying to access a firewall, then we'll do a full page load. We can deal with that in a minute though. But login is just going to render this form. And so you could kind of think of it like in our turbo frame, this is kind of like the markup that's going to be getting replaced. And it will be with itself. We're going to just re-render this same thing, which is already included, on the splash page for like the initial page load. We'll give this ID is going to be TF login. Register, we're going to have TF register. Okay, and our security controller, or view controller, so that's where that form's coming from. We got the registration, it goes to the /register method, blah, blah, blah. That's all good. Cool. Okay. Now we just need to change these. Register. And we need to make a user service, and we're going to auto wire it into here. And here's what we're going to do. On success, it's going to register success. On failure, it's going to re-register, or it's going to reload that same turbo frame with the form errors. So we're just going to reload this register.html.twig for the time being. And we're going to make this little thing turbo frame ID. Oh, nope, just ID. And turbo ID. Text success. FS. Sure. We're just going to kind of cheat this in here. Row. Justify content center. Div class call. Same thing. Probably don't need to do this. I just don't want to reload it. Justify content center. I don't actually need that one because it's going to take up the whole thing. I don't really need the row or column, I guess, but that's fine. We'll just do span class text success fs2 message. All right, and this is going to be bi like some type of circle, check, circle, fill. That's probably fine. Cool. All right, and well, I guess I still need that controller. I don't really need this anymore. I'm gonna need register type at some point. And I could have added submit to it. I just didn't. That's fine though. All right, all we care about right now is register form. So in the security controller, on success, we want to do, we're going to use this later, the re-returning the form where there's errors. We're going to render, and I might just clean that up on my own when I have some time. We're going to do, where did I put success? Yeah, that's fine. Components. HTML.twig. Turbo ID for this one is going to be register. So turbo ID. You guys see what I'm doing here? Just using that to swap out any turbo frame, right? So TF register, right? So this one is going to get replaced with the success message. And then the message is going to be like captain name registered registration complete. Of course, we're going to change this when we actually have an email in there. The form's going to come through here and get processed, so we'll have a form name. So captain name, right now we'll just be like whatever. What do we need for this? Right, services. We need a user service. Create new class. Well, captain service, really. It's a user service though. Okay. And for right now, all we need is public function create captain. Cool. And all we're gonna do is we're gonna pass, you know, all the stuff that we need. Just one second here. There's one thing I want to look up. And we got to set roles too. Alright, so what do we got? String, captain name, string, email, string, password, which is, we're going to hash it here, so we need to add, oh, that's one thing I didn't cover in security. Hashing algorithms. I don't necessarily have time to go over this now, but we are going to use Sodium. Hopefully this won't give us any errors, but Sodium in Symfony is going to use Argon 2, which you don't want to use Bicrypt, you want to use Argon 2. So Sodium is the way to go, and we're probably going to want to adjust some of these things. Some of this stuff might be a little slow. We'll see what happens. We will see what happens. Okay, cool. So change it. That's where you can change your algorithm, and it's not like any algorithm support. It's like auto bicrypt. Auto is default. Auto will use the default hashing method in your like PHP installation, which default is bicrypt. So Sodium, you know, you have to enable it. So don't forget to do that, or you're actually not going to have a secure login because it's not going to be using Argon 2. Very important. Okay. We got that set up. I honestly might need to reserve this to pull in a lot of these changes, but I think everything should be working. Email, password, role. They're all going to have the same role. You know what? Yeah, we really should have role in there. Okay, I think we're good. I think that's all we need. There we go. That's, well, we want to know if it's successful. So we're going to return bool. Alright. Plus new captain. And then we go captain sets captain name to captain name. Captain set email to email captain set roles to, because it doesn't have any roles yet, so we'll just be like role captain, make sure that that's actually working even though it's defaulted, and then captain set password. Okay, I probably need to add a constructor because I need a password hasher. Public function construct. Let's see. I am going to need the user repository as well. So we can auto wire. This auto wiring should work for this. Captain repository. Right, let me finish where I'm at. Too many things at once. And then we need user password hasher interface. Cool. Doesn't like that. PHP Storm doesn't like how that's spelled. That's interesting. That's a new one. Okay, cool. We shouldn't have to set those in the constructor because of auto wiring. So we should be good because they're singletons. Or maybe we do have to set them. This might give us issues. Yeah, it doesn't like it. But if you look at auto wiring, it should be fine. Why are you so unhappy? I just kind of want to try this in the service container without having to do I think it's just a PHP Storm thing that it's not recognizing like auto wiring like that. We're going to comment this stuff out and see if it works, because auto wiring should just work for this. Hash password captain and password. There we go. Alright, that should be everything we need. And then we just this captain repository save and captain and make sure flush is true. I gotta look in a plugin as to why it's not recognizing the auto wiring stuff. Return true. Of course, we're doing database things, so you know there's not going to be any issues with this. Just do a quick little try catch. Not enough try catches in programming. Definitely not, in my opinion. We can round that stuff out later. Don't need to worry about it yet. Try this. Catch, return, false. We'll worry about an error later. Cool. Probably going to get an error though. I probably should comment this out because we're going to get an error because this auto wiring issue. But whatever, that's alright. Cool. So this is creating our captain. We got our captain service. Now we go and do security. And we can auto wire here, captain service. We're doing this and we're using the service container because we want to keep all this stuff, any repetitive code like creating or updating or different things like that, out of, we want to keep it in the service container. We want to keep it out of, out of the controllers, no business logic in the controllers. We don't want to do that. So this form is going to submit. One thing I got to look at real quick. I'm going to commit this too because I haven't committed anything in a while. Sweet. Alright. We're looking good so far. We just got to finish up this captain service, create a captain, make sure that turbo frame is working, probably deal with some errors, and then log in. And then that's literally it. And we're going to have a lot of cleanup to do next time on some of these finer things. CSRF protection for the registration form, register an email address, verify your email, reset password, all those things. Probably going to be like another 2 videos on this. Honestly, it's a huge part of Symfony, but it's a huge part of any app, and getting it right is super, super important. And your users will definitely thank you. They definitely will. Just one thing taking a look at. Cool. All right. So, I want to make sure I'm actually getting this form in here. Because of the routing like this and it's submitting to a different route than where it's originating, I think I might have an issue. But maybe not. So we got registration form. Let's see what we get out of that before we go too much farther. Test. Cool, I bet you can't guess what the password was. Yep, it was test. Yes, content missing. Okay, that's good because we didn't do a page load on form submit. Yes, I know, of course that didn't work because it just came back with this. Okay, we have our form there, and what I'm looking for is the form data. Which is right there. Alright, so that's good. We got everything we need. We can now go and I'm a little rusty, so let's try form get. If we look back in our registration type, captain email password. Let's look at that. I can just replay. Honestly don't know or remember where replay even is. I just need to replay this and so I wanted to make sure. Copy, blah, blah, blah. Header options. Honestly, just don't remember. That's fine though. I know it's get. Form get blah blah and then get data. Right. Okay. Get data. Captain service. Create captain. So captain name. Get email, get data, right, email, password, blah, 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 password, and then, oh, I did this twice for no reason. Why? Why? Role, that just needs to be role. And we're going to need to change this to probably be an array of roles. Well, we might as well just do it now. Array, it's a string, come on mate. String array, keep PHP stand happy even though I'm not running it. Just being extra goody two shoes. There we go. Too easy. Okay, that's going to create our captain. Then this is going to come back with our captain name, blah, blah, blah. Obviously, we're going to have an issue because Docker's not running. So let's actually see if this works end to end. TF register turbo ID registers in component success. I think this will work. Only one way to find out, and that's we got to do it. My FPS is probably gonna tank while Docker's starting. Let me just pause this real quick, wait for it to come up, and then I'll be right back. Alright, so Docker is up. Hopefully that's not going to cause any insane issues. We need to run a migration though. Hopefully my video won't get too chunky during this. So Symfony console, doctrine. I think I'm still recording, right? Should be. Should be. Seems like it. Maybe I'm not. My new screen recorder, when you pause it, it doesn't resume correctly, but that's okay. Alright, Symfony console, doctrine, migrations, migrate. This will migrate our captain class into the database. We actually need Docker, a Docker image running. Docker compose up-d, that'll run it as a daemon. That should set up our database. Not going to totally go into Docker and Doctrine database setup and stuff. Like, I'm just using the change me password that comes with it and all these things. This is going to be way different in production, way different than what you'd ever do. It's just a basic like database setup. It's not secured. It's just a like basic Docker compose out of the box thing. That's like whatever. We're not worried about database ops or DevOps or anything with this. It's just to like get the point of the video of the Symfony Turbo stuff across. You know, it's less about like we'll go back and redo some stuff when we deploy this on production and do DevOps. We're gonna you know, really do it and fix all these things. But for now, it's just yes, cool. All right, too easy. Now this should actually work. and we should be able to get into our Docker container and inspect the database and see that our captain object is there. And we should get a success back. And we'll worry about error handling and cleaning some stuff up when we need to. We'll just do a test one. We'll just call him Captain Test. He's very testy, so watch out. And his password is just test. Let's see. Oh, okay. Hey, it did the register thing. We got an issue. What is it? What do we got? It made my padding weird too. I don't like that. Okay, let's... It just made this like too big. I hate doing this, but well, just for now. Font size. Keep it small. Need to run Webpack too. Boo. Captain name must be of type string null given. Alright, so this is our issue. Our form is not submitting right. Do they still have required on them as well? I hope that they do. Yes. I wonder if this will... There's just something weird going on with the options for Form Builder right now. Well, in my setup. I don't mean right now in general, but just what I'm doing. If I remove required, I wonder if it will, like, fix that to make it actually required. And I'm sick of clicking through this stuff, so in our view controller, set that to true, show login. No. Okay. Whoop. Here's a point I wanted to make. If I go to like main, and it's unauthorized, right, this needs to kind of getting ahead of myself, but it's something I don't want to forget about. Login form and registration form. Do need both of those. Should really do a redirect here. Just thinking about something. We're going to do this for now. It's not good, but we're going to change it later, and that's fine. We're going to add this stuff here. We're like adding this in 3 places, and this is exactly what you don't want to do. Cool. Okay. So that's fine. Right, this came back null. Okay, look at that. Required, for whatever reason, is super duper unhappy. I want to add dots with that too. If you include it, I just don't understand that at all. Why including something would make it not work. I wonder if autocomplete's doing the same thing. Not sure. But anyways, let's fix this too while we're at it. Oh, wow. That's not doing anything. I think there's a small I need to add to it to actually make this work. Let's see. Spinner, grow, small. Hey, there we go. All right. Spinner, grow, small. Boom, boom, boom. Okay, now we're good on that. And that's what's really annoying, is that if this stuff isn't like now we can't submit it. So that needs to happen on like we need to make sure this stuff's not empty first for required. It's annoying, but I have to add. Okay, I'm just going to cheat this in here. ID. Dot value. Really, it should just be, here we go, dot length is greater than 0, and out of order, but whatever. Then we need to throw an error if there's an issue. We're just running out of time for this video, so I am not super worried about like the QA for this stuff. Kind of handle that in a minute. Cool. All right, that's better. At least it's better. Okay. Obviously unhappy because we did a dump die. And what did we dump out? Get capped. I gotta look something up. Oh, you know what? I need to actually name is Captain. Just bear with me 1 second here. I do probably need to do like, well, yeah, should add is valid and is submitted. Just because it's like the right thing to do. Is valid, and probably want to do is not empty, but this is fine for right now. Cool. Okay, so we should be hitting that. Get captain, get data. Worked that time. Wow, browser just really freaked out. It actually doesn't look too bad. Let's drop it a little bit. Okay, so that's my point. The turbo frames. That's not a page reload. That is a that's our registration complete. Let's just doctor this up a little bit. I'm not sure how that happened though. Oh, it didn't hit this. Is submitted and is valid. That's how. Okay, so the turbo frame's not working, but the form, the turbo frame is working, but the form's not working. Because let's dump out our request. Foundation request, yep. Success. That should be fine. We'll get to that at some point. Alright, cool. So the turbo frame's working. We're just having some form issues. Form builder, blah, 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 all that stuff. Validating forms. Processing forms. That's what we want. Okay. Yeah. That would be an issue. Handle request. Oh, at least I was on the right track dumping the request out. But this form needs to handle our request. That's the problem. Alright. this could return false. So success equals that. And up here we'll just be like whoosh, success equals false. There we go. If, and I like to do this, we'll just go what twig we're going to render. Alright, and then we'll just do a little logic. If we are successful, if it's true, we're going to do component success.twig. And if we're not successful, we need to return the entire form into that turbo frame. But that's easy enough because it's just register with the form. So components dot twig, and there we go. We're not going to have the form there, so we want to return that. Well, we can always return it no matter what. It doesn't really matter. It's okay, that's a completed form. You can still send it back. It's not going to get rendered anyways. It'll just get ignored. So registration form. Is that even what it's called? Yeah. Cool. Okay. Cool, cool, cool. Alright, so this is basically like done. This is all we really need. Why don't we just set success to false? And form errors. Form type guessing. Interesting. I should have that automatically enabled. CSRF. I don't. Wow, no kidding. Every form automatically gets CSRF protection if you add that. And I don't need it. Or I don't need to do anything for it, is what it's saying. Let's go ahead and just get that right now. Why not, right? Might as well do it right while we're here. There we go. We shouldn't have to worry about any of this stuff. Accessing form errors. Form get errors. Really unlike creating an error. So I want to set an error on it. And then in the twig, we would just render that above everything. Come on, where is it? Where is it? There we go. Cool, that's good. I guess we don't really need Webpack right now, so we can leave it off. Add our form errors right here. Just like that. Cool. Then let's see. I'm obviously going to delete this code right here, but this will just can I just access that? Add error. There we go. Big bad error. Cool. Now I need to actually... Well, you get the idea. If we have errors, they're going to get rendered out there. If we get failure on our try catch, let me just look it up real quick. Add an error. We can worry about that in a minute. Okay, this should be good now and actually create our captain entity. And then once we do that, all we have to do is log in. We have to do like 2 things up here, and that is basically checking if it's a TurboFrame request or not. And if it is, we don't do anything, and if it isn't, then we need to make sure we're just rendering the actual login form instead of the splash page. That's really the difference, is what we're going to render. Okay, let's see, we got an issue. User password hasher. Oh, I knew it. Okay, service container stuff is not working here. Like, we're gonna have to add it in the constructor, which is fine. It's just annoying. Just annoying. We probably want to try catch in the controller too, to handle those 500 level errors that just return error instead of content missing or something like that. And we just change these to danger. 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 Stop sign. Maybe it's just error, right? Stop. Sign, stop, fill. That seems good. Cool. Good. Alright. Just put this whole thing like that. I think I got the wrong exception class. Yes, I do. And I bet I have the wrong one in here. Yep. Actually want to return like basically this whole thing, except the twig is just component / error twig. Yes, that's fine. Message. We'll just be like not captain. And let's go back and break our captain service. We'll just get rid of that and that. And then we'll get the same issue. There we go. Okay. Cool. That stuff looks a little ugly. Oh man, I hate this. Bootstrap icons. We gotta look up like an exclamation or a warning thing. Usually by the top, but warning, error. I like the bug thing myself, but exclamation triangle. Let's just do that, I guess. Looks cool. Or exclamation circle, because the other one's a circle. Error. BI. Exclamation circle fill. Cool. Okay, so that should work. Now we can unbreak. By the way, that text danger is like a little too bright. Probably want to fix that at some point too. Alright, now this all should just work, and then we can get into Docker and make sure it's actually in the database, and then we can finish our login function. Okay. I think that might have worked, but it was unhappy for whatever reason. It re-rendered, it didn't render success, it re-rendered the form. Why did that happen? Probably we got an exception. And this caught it and returned false and returned it without an error. That's hilarious. Alright, let's try that again. I bet this isn't in the database, luckily, so it should be good. Cool. It's not, but I have all this in a try catch, so I'm not getting the error. That's really annoying. For debugging, obviously I should just print the error out, but I'm too lazy. We're doing this. We're doing it. Method save is undefined. How dare you? How is save undefined? This is blowing my mind right now. Do I need the entity manager instead? Or my repository is just actually missing something. That's frustrating. Yeah, no save function. Alright, we're gonna have to add save to this, and we also need to add remove because it's not in here. It's funny it didn't do that automatically, but it added upgrade password. Well, alright. get entity manager, persist. I think maybe this is just something I forgot about Doctrine, not using it for a while, is like entity manager is just not, you just have to do a lot of stuff in the repository to like use the right entity manager and do all this. So you should be using a repository instead of just doing like an entity manager stuff in a service. But yeah, you just have to write some custom stuff in a repository. Pretty frustrating, but that's okay. Not a big deal. Flush. Okay. And let's see. Captain, and bool flush equals false by default. I actually would rather have that be true, but that's okay. And then remove is our entity manager function. Remove. Cool. All right. Finally, we should be good. And then once this works, we can just re-enable all the try catches we had, so we have a good user experience. And this would be where you would want to like set up like an account in Sentry or something like that to like log all these out, all these like handled exceptions. You want to log, you know, it'll log any exception, whether it's handled or caught or uncaught. What do we got now? Undefined column name of captain. Oh, I wonder if I made this migration before I actually captain name. Let's look at our migration. Not in there. Frustrating. But at least we know our database is working. So, Symfony console. Just make another one to get up to date. Make migration. And here's the thing, migrations in Symfony with Doctrine work way better than in Eloquent, surprisingly. I'm a huge fan of Doctrine migrations versus Eloquent and Laravel ones, because you can like do everything all at once, whereas, yeah, see, there we go. Whereas with Eloquent migrations, PHP Artisan Migrate, like you just do stuff one at a time, like for making a migration, and a lot of times it just makes a blank migration because you don't have the same like entity. The entity attributes and models are like totally different things. They're not the same thing. A model does not come from an entity in Symfony. It's just like a different thing altogether. And the attributes are just defined by the database columns, so they're not. You basically add these fields in the database migration. That's how you have attributes instead of like the Doctrine, the actual private variables or public or whatever, the class variables. You know what I mean? It's just done differently. I much prefer the Doctrine way. I think it's a lot easier. All right, finally, we should be good. Let's try this one more time. Stupid animation getting in the way. I gotta change the z-index on that too. Starting to get a long list of bugs that we have to fix. That's okay. Alright, look at that. It looks like that was made. Now, although I'm tempted to go just check the database to make sure this is in here, I want to try to actually just log in. What did we call that one? I think it was test@one.com. I don't know. We'll figure it out soon enough. But let's just look at our login is just in the form target submit. Cool. So once login gets hit, then let me fix Captain Service while we're here. Uncomment this stuff so we actually do something instead of just letting an exception happen, even though that's not the right thing, and we'll fix it later. Uncomment this as well so we don't have broken turbo frames. And the user can do something instead of having to reload the page. We'll have to handle this better later. Maybe this will go into our finer points of logging in type of deal. Pretty sure I enabled CSRF2, and right? Did we do that? Yeah, cool. Okay. But stuff's coming along. We're getting there. Getting close. Okay, so when login gets hit, it will, this is the default. It'll go to the splash page into the login form. And it'll have last username, which we want to add, and it'll have the error, which we also want to add. So let's look at the Symfony docs for that real quick. Form, that's not the right one. Here we go. We're going to need to add this, and value of last username, that's going to need to get added as well. And we're going to have to do that in a twig thing, but we can just, it'll just be blank for now, that's fine. But you see what they're doing there? The value is just getting passed dynamically. Cool. Alright, so that's where our form errors are going to be. Kind of want to do the same thing as this. We're getting to have a bit of markup in here, it's not too bad. Cool, that should be alright. That's going to kind of add some CLS, but that's okay. Because that margin, I'll just get rid of that. Just put it at like a 2 or something. So it's not as noticeable. Okay, that's fine. So on login, if you go right now to any like unauthorized view, it's going to just do this. But what we want to do is see it. Oh. Just lost internet there for a second. That was kind of annoying, but now I'm back. Alright, as I was saying, you hit an unauthorized route, like right now, main, and it just kicks you back to this login route, which login is just rendering Splash. We could do this as a redirect. It just redirects you back to Splash if you have an invalid login. But let's see, we got authentication utils, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so that stuff's fine. It will tell you if you have a bad username or password, and it should render it out. But it's going to do a full redirect. What I actually want to do in here, let's just make sure that works first. And then I'll show you. I'll show you what I mean and how to add turbo frames to this. Although we already kind of have. This is obviously the wrong password. We're going to log in. Invalid credentials. Cool. Okay, so that works as expected. That doesn't look very pretty though, but that's fine. We will fix that with text danger. Let's try that again. But as you can see, that's a full page load, right? See, we are loading everything all over again. We're not adding to the request, they're restarting. And now we're at 10 requests. So here's our trick to get this to work correctly. We are going to look at the request and we're going to look for a special header, and it's going to be different depending on where this comes from, on what type of request it is. So request in, we need to get the headers bag. You'll see what I'm talking about in a minute. Request headers. Yes, that's it. Okay, cool. Blah, 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 headers. And it's not in there, which is good. I don't want to hit the login route. I want to hit the splash route. Error does not exist. Right. I knew that. Obviously, that's just nothing. What we really should have, instead of putting that there, we really should do it is the find check in the twig. It's not empty. I think we can do that. Yes, we can. And splash, we can put this back to show login being false. Always good in your twigs to check is defined. So that way you know, is my music playing? Nice, I like that. So that way you know, if you don't have a stuff break, if you're using a variable in one controller but not in another, and the twig's expecting it, because we're reusing twigs all the time. It's just a good way to check. Okay, so this is dumping out our header, and this is hard for me to read, but there's a specific one I'm looking for, but hopefully it's in here, and we might have an issue with this because we need to make sure it's in here. Basically, I'm looking to check if this request is from a turbo frame, because if this will hit the login route again. See, look at that. That was 21 headers that time. The other one was 22. So that's our difference, is that there is an extra header in here, but I can't see it. Maybe my eyes are just going bad. Blah, blah, blah. I'm not sure what the difference in the headers were, but it's okay. Maybe it was honestly something else, because it's missing something. Symfony. Request headers get turbo frame. If it hasn't been triggered by a turbo frame, so page navigation would not fall into that. Pretty sure that's what I'm looking for. But that is not in the array that we were just looking at, so pretty curious. Yeah, it's null. Mhm. You know what? We might, well, we could also make sure it's like actually from a form submit, and then do a turbo render. Okay, input bag, parameter bag, blah, blah, blah. All this stuff. Session. It's funny it's not in there. I'm kind of curious if this is available, and it's just because we're submitting it programmatically. Let's look at register again. Okay, there we go. We have it. That's our turbo frame in register. So why is that not working for login? I want to say because we're doing a JavaScript submit. That's honestly what I think. Change this to just be a submit button and submit the form. Or maybe because the request is routed through the, and we need to pass it through the custom authentication, which that's such a pain in the butt to do that. There we go. Okay, so that's good. We don't have to do any custom, whatever. But the JavaScript form submit is just not classifying as a login submit. We could do something hacky, put a submit button, and then have JavaScript click it. I really don't like that. Like with a D none on it. Really not a fan. I want the loading animation though. This is where we get a little tricky. We're doing this login form submit, but anyways, if it's a turbo frame submit, we want to just re-render the form. Just the form, not the whole thing. Just like that. And we're gonna have all this stuff. Show login, that doesn't even really matter for this, but still have it on the page. Cool. And finally, we're gonna just check if we're going to actually do the redirect once you're logged in and your authentication's good. As you can see in our debug bar, we're not authenticated. We haven't had a good authentication yet. So let's try to do that, and then we can look at this animation. Alright. So here's all we need to do. We can get the logged in user, which hopefully they are logged in, and that's saying we do have a logged in user, or else that'll just be null. Well, and everyone's going to have the role of captain, but we can just check, you know, in array. Oh, trouble with typing. And in array, role captain, and this is kind of arbitrary at this point, but you know, it's just at least a little extra something. Get user, get roles. Yeah, okay, cool. Then we're going to do return this redirect to route. Main, and that should just work with the shipyard load thingy-majiggy. I bet turbo drive is not going to be enabled though automatically, so let's double check that. Alright, I just had to take a small break there. Check it out. Here's what has to happen. Basically, on this form submit, in order for this turbo frame to reload with the form errors, it has to do a frame load. It can't navigate outside the frame, or else it'll do like a hard page refresh. But also when it does log in, it has to do essentially a hard page refresh, and except it has to use turbo drive, so it's not actually refreshing the page. And on top of that, we need our loading animation to get triggered. So here's what we're gonna do. I don't think I actually need this right here. Alright, when this gets triggered, I have a twig here. I was calling it empty, but we're going to call it we're just going to call it loading. Yes, refactor. Okay. So it's going to replace. Yep, that's right. Okay, cool. We should be good. If we navigate to main or something like that, and we already have authentication, then it should just go to where we need it to go. If the user isn't authenticated, or when they're not authenticated and logging in, then we are going to need to do a frame load. Let's just make sure that's working. So I'm not authenticated. Okay, cool. We'll worry about that in a minute. There is one other thing I wanted to do really quick, and that's fix our navigation, because our navigation is doing frame loads, but it's not pushing a history, like browser stack history, which we probably want to add, and make that view like a little more dynamic. But okay, we'll get to that in a minute too. But just for right now, just to get this demo working, everything in the security controller should be good. We're going to render out this loading, and you notice here we have target top. So any navigation is going to do a full reload in this frame, and this frame is what we're loading. So this is kind of like, I don't want to say it's like a hack or something, but it is kind of, it's like a sneaky, I'm going to rename this controller too. It's like a sneaky kind of way of doing this, because if you try to navigate out of that frame that our form's in, you're going to have issues because it's always going to be looking for a turbo frame to replace the current frame with. So one way you can do that is you can actually do a hard reload, but then we'd have two reloads in our app. The initial page load and then this reload when the app loads. And that's not too bad, but it's not great. And the way you would do that is you would go to, I was playing with this earlier, if you go to this main view, right here, you add a meta tag, turbo visit control reload. So anytime this main view gets hit, which is only one time and it's only on login, basically it does a hard refresh. And that's not bad because it gets all the data that we want, it gets everything in there, reload styles, all those things, but basically there's no difference between that and our main page login load. So we don't really need any of this at all. We can just leave it as is, and this is going to end up being a lot smoother. So we're going to log in, we're going to load our loading turbo frame. Probably there might be some other places we want to use this dynamically to do a turbo navigation. So eventually at some point we might want to pass this frame ID in as a variable. So we'll just do that, turbo ID, and when it gets loaded, don't need that anymore. That's good. Okay. When we go, and yeah, there's our turbo ID for login. Perfect. Already had it. But when we navigate in here, it's going to do a full page refresh, and we're going to do that programmatically. I'm going to rename this controller to loading. I had it named as redirect. I did work on this a little bit when I was off camera, just because I had some time, but I didn't feel like recording. Anyways, cool. That's in there. This is our spaceship loading animation, and that's always going to be showing. We don't actually, well, we might want to like fade this in. Yeah. Removing this D none will fade in our spaceship, so we do kind of want that. Alright, cool. Now we just need to add this as a target. What did I call it? Blast off? I like that name. Blast off, and then static targets. Blast off. Cool. Okay, that's good. So what's going to happen is we're going to we have a 3-second timeout. We're going to once we load this on connect, we're going to hide everything else, and we're going to essentially, this is going to load like an empty turbo frame until the spaceship animation comes in. So then we go this.blastOffTarget.classlist.add, or sorry, .remove the none. Cool. And we're basically hiding, well, we don't want to hide our own turbo frame, and that's what could happen here. So we want to make sure that we hide, if we look at splash, where are you? We want to make sure that we hide the frame is inside of this, so we don't want to hide the whole thing in splash content. We want to just hide the tabs, and so we're going to have to wrap these and give it an ID because it's outside of the scope of our controller. Which we could wrap this in this, we could do this in the splash controller and like do an event listener for it, but this is just an easier way to use the connect lifecycle hook automatically when this frame loads, and it makes it reusable as well. We can use this loading controller and component basically like in other places where we want to just load stuff really easily. Looks like I'm missing something. I don't know what. Maybe I was off by a div all the time there. Wow. Crazy I didn't catch that. Or maybe it's just, I just forgot to add it like right this second. No idea. Anyways, seems fine. Okay. What should we call this? Like splash heading? Sure. That makes sense. Not really following my naming convention. Splash heading. So we're just going to hide this entire part. Yeah, okay. Let's give it another reformat. Cool. Got an extra div somehow. Huh. It just formatted weird that time, I think. Alright. So, splash heading. And we could probably get rid of some of the stimulus stuff that we're not really using. That's okay for right now. Yeah, that'll be fine. We'll just make sure it works alright. Cool. I might have to actually await this. But I might not. I'm not sure because it is a promise. Alright, so basically we're hiding the heading, showing the rocket animation sleeping for 3 seconds, and then we're going to visit our main login route, which could really be anything that we're navigating to, so we shouldn't hardcode that to main. Perfect. So now we can reuse this like basically any time to add this rocket animation. We could pass it an animation file or something to load, but that'll be really dynamic. And when it navigates, it should do a full page reload, but using Turbo Drive, so it won't actually be a hard refresh. Alright, let's, oh, okay. There we go. So now we got some issues with our markup. Okay. Why is that happening? Welcome text. Right? think I might actually need a D none on one of these. I'm surprised I didn't have it before. Oh, right. It's this whole thing. Okay. That's what happened. There we go. And that's our normal, okay. But I need to be able to take all this stuff out. I guess I'll just do it in 2 divs. Do splash heading as one. That's kind of annoying, but that's fine. Splash heading. And this other one, this is gonna get removed as well. ID nav tab, sure, okay, that's fine. That's a bootstrap thing. Don't really care about changing it. Sweet, okay, now let's see if this works. Webpack's running, alright, we should be good. So, regular page load, we're not authorized, we tried to navigate to a different route, just brings us back here. Go through the login process, probably need to do some QA on register and make sure it still works. Okay, let's use a bad password, and okay, we didn't get a hard page reset there, so that's good. Cool, everything's still there. Now we're going to try the right password and log in. Oh man, we still got content missing. Why is that? Everything loaded. And like nav loaded and everything. Why did I get content missing though? Let's take a look. Maybe I got a bad turbo ID? TF login, no, that seems right. Should have hit here. And we are authenticated. So it did auth. We should be hitting this, but for some reason I feel like we're not. We're hitting splash. Let's try this. Hey, there we go. Okay, so we are hitting that. And we are rendering components loading HTML twig. That's correct. I wonder if the target top's messing it up. Or there's a JS error. There we go. Well, that was, I didn't check that the first time. Let's check that again. But that's what happened. There we go. Okay. Fetch response is not defined. That's got to be an issue. Well, Oh, I need this from a next call. That's annoying. We'll just hard code it, I guess, for now. I probably need to actually use this callback, this promise resolution, or it's just not going to work. But I don't know, I could be wrong about that. Let's try it. And then later we'll just pass this in as a variable. Instead of going to main, it'll just go to anything. And there we go. Perfect. No console errors for turbo issues or bad frame navigations or any of that. It works. You just have to get into a frame you can only redo once. And maybe we want to do like 3,500 milliseconds on that just to view the spaceship a little longer. The one thing is this turbo bar is stuck at the top. Why is that? That's definitely a turbo bug. I've never heard of that before. Huh. That's like a... Oh, you know, I have turbo visit in there twice. That's kind of an issue. Let's see if we can't get that cleaned up real quick. Wow, that's crazy. Huh. No kidding. Let's see what it says about doing this, about navigation, history replace. Right. We need to add pushes onto these too. Kind of just want to do that right here. I also kind of want to delete that element programmatically and not deal with it, but I wonder if I need like maybe that'll fix it. We can just get rid of that. Data turbo. All right, here. Let's fix our nav too while we got it. This might cause more issues, to be honest. I'm not sure if it is push, but I'm going for it. I think that's what it is. We might get some weird behavior. Yeah. If you do back. Well, we can mess with that another time. Canceling custom rendering, blah, blah, blah. pausing rendering, pausing requests. Oh, that's cool. Interesting. Okay, I guess I'm just gonna hide it. Aria busy. I wonder if that's stuck too. Yeah, it is. Wow, that's crazy. It's just broke. So it takes longer than 500 milliseconds to load. Okay. I guess we can just do that. I don't really care about replacing browser history, even though, yeah, we're gonna have to mess with a few of these things to get it, like, get the routing right, but that's okay. Advance, that's what it is. Not push, it's advance. Let's see if that works. Advance, and that's what that's supposed to be. Set confirm. Wonder if there is a your loaded lazy load. Yes, I'm tracking on that. Place the whole page, right? But what if there's issues and you don't log in? You don't want to replace the whole page. That's so annoying. Navigation targets, right? Okay, well, let's just make sure that we don't, we're just gonna set this to be like 5,000, so it never shows up, at least for this type of load. And no Aria busy, no issues there. Okay, sweet. So we're good. And as you can see, we've got our routes. But here's the thing. If I hit that, yeah, that's not going to work because it's not actually routed the same way. So we can fix that later with our routes. By having the main view, just give one route. And then do a redirect based on the based on the subroute on the slug that it gets. It can just use a it can do a redirect for a main load with any of those views that you want. But we don't have to worry about that now. We can just keep it on main and keep the navigation like this, just like a true MVC. Logout works. Let's just make a new user. Captain Lance. Lance at space.x. Password 123456. Register. Cool. It worked. Lance at space.x and 123456. Log in. And Google doesn't like those passwords, but at least we got a cool loading animation. I want to, here, we'll just add a logout button really quick, because why not? That will never be active. btn danger. Logout. No, it's definitely not a turbo frame false. Data turbo false. I don't think it matters anyways. Well, it might matter. Wonder if there's a door one we could use. Like, walk out the door. Door. Sure. Let's see how that looks. Okay. Would help if I could spell. Hey, there we go. Alright. How do we want to do that? That door thing, I'm not sure if I'm a fan of that. Let's give it like a little bit of a margin top, and let's give it a full width, I guess. I don't know. That doesn't look great. Why don't we keep it like that? And we just need to add. See, that looks okay. I don't like that there's like a bottom thing around the door, but that's alright. When we hover, it'll go red. Let's do that. Logout class, and we'll go up to what? Controls. That's fine. No problem. Logout on hover. Background. Give me a red. Let's get a nice red someplace. Come on. I know I got a good red someplace around here I used before. Maybe I don't. Okay, I guess we'll make up our own red. Right? I don't see one. Do like a darker red. Not too dark, but like that. Probably need an import on it. Wow, not happy. Log out on hover. Seems right. Oh, Sass is just taking a really long time to compile. Probably because Docker's running. There we go. Wow, that took forever. Okay. Hey, cool. I don't know. I think we still want white as the text color, though. Sweet. All right. Now we just gotta wait a year for Sass to compile again. Man, this always takes a long time. How much CSS am I actually downloading? 1 megabyte. Wow, that's crazy. It's not taking that long. But that's just a lot, because I think it's because of all the Bootstrap Sass that gets added. That's the issue. Bootstrap CSS is way... It saves you a lot. Like a ton. But it is a single page app, so there's going to be stuff like that. I think I'd rather see like an arrow in a square than that door thing. But anyways, that's fine. Arrow bar left. Maybe that's it. I don't know. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? It's like an arrow busting out of a square, like this, but rotated. Like, oh, like that. There we go. Box, arrow, left. Yeah, I like how that looks. And the login one's kind of like that. I kind of want to add that now. Box, arrow, left for this. Box, arrow, left, and then, what was that? Box, arrow, in, right for the loading button. That's going to be in login. In rights and me too. Cool. Log out. Boom. There we go. And really, that should be, I think it will, okay, so that was a hard page reload. Good, all right, because you want logout to be a hard page reload, for sure. That looks pretty good. I don't mind that. Would be cool if we didn't have to see the stupid Google Chrome thing. But there you go. This is our single page app with all the loading stuff. There is some different ways we could do this with Turbo and kind of achieve the same effect without like that intermediate loading step and like forcing the user to wait. But you know, when you actually do, of course this app is like nothing to load, but when you actually do have something that's going to take a while to load, instead of doing this sleep function, you can, you know, you don't have to add that basically. It's just, you can do like that turbo visit as an overlay while everything's being like loaded in the background. You just never want a controller like this that's using a lifecycle hook like Connect. You just never ever ever want to do this with you never want to lazy load this, because that's like literally the opposite of what you want. You want to eager load it Like that's basically the only thing is you need to make sure you eager load that. There's like, or else it'll mess things up. But basically that's it. I think all of our routes are good. Security, we ended up adding a little bit more code than I wanted to. But that's okay. Everything's working good. The errors and everything is getting handled correctly. All of our routes are good. This is better than having to write a custom login hook, a custom form login authentication override. We're just kind of handling the navigation, and there's some different things. This main view, this is getting hit if you get like, if you're already authenticated and you just go wherever to log in, it'll just pop you back into the main view unless you log out. This is for on login. This is what gets hit because we have that turbo frame navigation, so we know it came from the login form. And if you have neither of those conditions, you're either going to get a login form back with errors and a turbo frame, or you're going to just, this is like literally the initial page load, like from Google. That's the route. That's the function that's going to get that's going to get invoked. So that's basically it. I know we covered a lot. I'm going to try and like condense and edit some of this down so it's not quite as in depth. But tomorrow we can go over, we'll go over some of the, like, Remember Me token, setting up Google reCAPTCHA, email programming and verifying an email. Probably that's going to be like 2 more videos. One just for email stuff and then one for all the other odds and ends. And then I think we have some error handling and some QA stuff that I'll probably just do on my own, and instead of boring you guys with having to watch all that stuff. So probably that's going to be a lot better than QA is boring. No one wants to see that, you know. We'll just go through handling corner cases and all this stuff. But basically, if you look at the JavaScript we wrote, we haven't used Axios once yet in this app. All the JavaScript we have is like adding and removing classes or little timeout functions or changing inner HTML. That's literally all the JavaScript that we have had to write. This one we did have to like do our own validation for showing a form submit spinner, but that's not a big deal. Oh well. Playing music, all we've done is like fun little JavaScript things. No hardcore Axios JavaScript programming, services, classes, all this stuff. And that's really, you know, how things should be. We're trying to minimize all this because it's big enough already with Bootstrap and whatever else you're using. So, you know, we don't want to make it any bigger. That's basically all I got. I think everything's looking pretty good. We wrote this captain service. If you guys don't remember, basically just creates a captain. Super easy, super straightforward. We messed with the captain repository a little bit, adding save and remove functions that weren't there. You do have to do that with Doctrine every time. Does get tedious, but no big deal. And in the last video, we did Symfony Form Builder. Oh, autocomplete's still not working. I do want to try and mess with that at some point. I'll remember eventually. That's basically all that we've got. We're starting to have a good looking app where we can really start getting into some cool programming and some cool graphic stuff, especially with this whole actually building a ship deal and getting data from the database, using streams, using Kafka, using stuff dynamically. And tables are a great way to show that. So once we finish up the finer points of login, then maybe we can go over some more form stuff here, and you know, or we'll pick the next project to look at where we can use Turbo Streams or Kafka, or maybe set up Mercury or something to do some WebSocket stuff and really get into it with dynamic web apps. But thanks so much. I will commit this. It'll be on the repo if you guys want to pull it down, and I'll catch you next time.